It's just on my table there. Somebody come in here. Hey, Steven. How's it going, bro? I don't know if I can see the chat in here. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to message Mr. Bruce Brand. Wait for some folks to get in here. We can do some chit-chatting about the tips and tricks with Cobra class leather working equipment. Oh, I've got 2 viewers now. Look at that. I'm not much of a Facebook Live person. I'm just up to the road from you. Would love to. You're welcome to come by anytime. I mean, my address is published. It's best if you make an appointment because, we're in and out all the time and we live here. So if we're still sleeping, we don't get out of bed until like 10 o'clock in the morning. Or at least I don't. All right. So this is going to be posted on YouTube for forever anyway. So it might as well just start. So here's the deal. The Tips and Tricks channel, we try to make it as friendly as possible. But it's really hard to do. Like, it's frustrating to all get out, and it makes it difficult when people don't understand what the situation there is all about. Okay? So I'm going to just start from the beginning. Okay, back in the day, I was a customer of Steve and his father's sewing machine store. Okay, they had a little store up in Montrose, California called, I believe it was called Action Sales. I might be mistaken, but it was a little home sewing machine repair type facility. Okay, and I was having a problem with my sewing machine. I was Steve's father's customer. Steve was a kid just like I was at that time. And I needed help adjusting my machine, and his dad wouldn't teach me. He wouldn't help me. He wanted me to pay him to adjust the thread tension or whatever it was, right? So, being a hothead like I am, I try not to be a hothead, but like it just sometimes you just can't help it, and out comes the pissed off guy, and I told him to just stick it, and then Steve, I hadn't seen him in quite some time, and I was looking for a 7-class stitcher. I had a big project, and I needed a big sewing machine, bigger than the typical machines that I had, which were just normal walking foot upholstery style machines, just like the most common systems. But I needed this infamous machine called the Singer 7-class, which could sew a good 1.25 inch thick material. And I'm out shopping for one, and I'm all over the downtown garment district looking for this particular type of machine. And I go by Eddie's sewing machine. The place was a flippin' joke. Just used garbage, and they just Mickey Mouse them together to get you to buy them, and you just like buying a used car, out of a shady store. So the equipment, you'd buy something, it would barely work, and if you didn't know sewing machines like that, you'd end up having nothing more than problems. And these people, they kind of prey on people like that. They charge you service calls like crazy to get these things running, even though they just sold it to you last week. So, long story short, you need to know how to operate your gear. You need to know how to maintain your equipment. And historically, the way sewing machines have populated the industry is that, sewing was governed by the unions, and you can't cross lines. An operator has to operate a supervisor supervises and the mechanic is the mechanic. And I mean, it's a simple turn of the knob to adjust the tension, but the operator can't do that. He has to call the mechanic over. And it's, it's got its place in our society where it's job security and all those kind of things, but in reality, it doesn't work in a mom and pop shop. I mean, literally, I go from salesman to janitor to cutter to designer to janitor again sometimes. That's why my shop's a mess all the time. I can't keep up, right? So I do my work and I hopefully get my stuff done, but at the end of the day, I have to do it all. So if I have to call a mechanic in and he's going to charge me $6 or $60 an hour, from porthole to porthole. I don't know if you've ever experienced that thrilling bill, but they charge you to travel here. And then they charge you a minimum of an hour to be here, even though it only took them 5 minutes, and then another hour or whatever to travel back. So I'm paying for 3 hours worth of labor at $60 an hour minimum. Some mechanics are even more than that. So to turn a knob for a split second, for something that they could have just taught me, because I'd rather pay you a couple $100 to teach me how to do it right the first time, and then now I know how to do it, and I don't need to rely on somebody like that next time I have a problem. Because if I'm in the middle of doing something, I'm going now. I'm building this thing right now, and I foul the machine. Oh man! Now I got to call the mechanic and wait for him to get here, and that might be 2 or 3 days away until he's got time to see me. And meanwhile, production's halted and I'm in trouble because now my client's mad at me, and who needs all of that, right? So I ultimately need to know how to do this stuff by myself. So we go back to Steve's dad, and he's telling me, no, just pay me and I'll do it for you. Well, that spawned this whole hatred for the sewing industry, the way it used to operate like that. I mean, I'm telling you, I hate that shit. So now I'm shopping for this seven class sewing machine, and I'm all over downtown, and those kinds of machines don't exist anymore. We don't have manufacturing like that anymore. I end up at this place called Melanie Machine. And I don't know, some people might remember that place, but it was the graveyard of all the sewing machines and shoemaking machines. And you could buy stuff there and resurrect it if you knew how. Thank God that place is gone. I'm telling you. So, back to Steve and trying to buy this 7-class machine. And I find out about this company called Artisan. Did I say that out loud? Oh my God. And I travel over there to Alhambra, I think it was. And this is at the beginning of the internet, when you had a cell phone, you could Google things. I go over there and I go pull on the door, and the door's locked. I see the guy back there and he's just waving me off. Get out of here. I got about $7,000 in my pocket. I want to buy a sewing machine. I got a sample of this thing I had to sew. I'm working for SpaceX of all places, and they need me to sew this thing, and I know I can't sew it with my gear. I could stitch it by hand. I could drill little holes and hand sew. You guys are leather makers. You know how to do that. But I can't do it efficiently for a company that's that big. I'm making these football field sized tarps to cover rockets with static proof electricity, so if a lightning bolt hit it, it would dissipate the shock. And the corners, think about it, the thing's 100 yards long and 50 yards wide, strapped down on top of a rocket. They're going to travel from Hawthorne to Corpus Christi, and it's strapped on top of a custom made truck, and the wind is going to blow that stuff, so the corners and all the reinforcement points have to be sturdy. So, 5 layers of heavy-duty webbing and big, giant slug grommets. I don't know if anybody knows what a slug is, but they're the next size stud or size grommet. You can stick, a 2-inch piece of rope through it. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but this thing's got to be heavy-duty, and I know I'm going to need this machine, and I've got this contract, and I can't screw it up, so I got to find the right machine. And I go to Artisan, and I get there, and the guy's telling me, no, I'm not letting you in. So, come on, man, I need you. Come on. He comes over and unlocks the door and opens it about 2 inches. He's got his foot behind it. What do you want? I'm here to look at sewing machines. I need to buy a machine. You ain't buying no sewing machine. Get out of here. And I'm like, well, I got money. Show him my money. A big wad of money in my pocket. I'm serious about sewing. Here's my sample. He's like, well, you're the wrong color. He's judging me by the color of my skin. And I don't know about you, but you bring racism into my face, you immediately have an enemy. I ain't playing. I've already dealt with that crap when I was a child because my skin is olive colored. And I grew up in a WASP white neighborhood. And those people abused me with my color of my skin. And they talk crap about my mother. And I don't play. I don't play at all. That's where my fuse is like this big. Can you see how much space is in there? There ain't no space in there. You bring racism at me, I'm coming at you hard. And I've got an army of people that will back me up because color of our skin doesn't matter, man. We're people and we treat people well. We treat people like we want to be treated. That's the whole purpose of this forum, this group of tips and tricks, man. We do the pay it forward system. We treat each other with kindness and courtesy, and we give of ourselves so that others can prosper from it. And this dude, is judging me by the color of my skin because I'm not Mexican enough and I'm not Chinese enough. So I talk my way through the door. Come on, man, let me see you. You know, I'm serious about this stuff. And he brings me to a machine, a 441 clone. And if you don't know what a 441 clone, it's the type of sewing machine that the Juki 441, which is what all the modern big stitchers like the Cobra Class 4 are modeled after. And he won't let me stitch on it. He goes, here you go. And he's sewing on something. And I go, okay, let me try. No, not until you buy it. If you're serious, you're going to buy it. Well, I'm serious. I just need to try it on my goods. I've got my sample. Well, pay for it first. I'm thinking to myself, wow, if I buy this thing and he's this much of a jerk when he's trying to sell it to me, how's he going to be when I've finally given him my money? Wow. Okay. So I go, you know what? I'm going to have to think about it. And I take off and I go sit out in this parking lot and I open up my little phone and I Google heavy industrial stitchers. And I find the Leather Machine Company. MapQuest or whatever it was back then. Another 20 minutes away. Cool. So I keep going to Ontario. Drive over to Ontario and park my car. And wow, there's this big warehouse and a leather sewing machine banner on the wall, and go over and pull on the door and the damn thing's locked too. What's up with these sewing shops and they've got to keep everything locked up? It's the middle of business day. The door's supposed to be open. Pull, it's locked. And I hear somebody rumbling around. Hold on, I'll be right there. Okay. The door opens up, swings open, this monstrous tall dude. He's got to be 6'2". Big mustache. Al Bain, oh my God, I haven't seen you in years. I'm sorry, buddy. You have me at a disadvantage. I don't know you, do I? Oh, you haven't seen me in years and years. The last time I saw you, we were telling my dad to take a flying leap. Okay. Yeah, but we used to own the sewing machine store up in Montrose. I sold you one of your first sewing machines, or my dad did, and he wouldn't teach you how to adjust the tension, so you told him to go fly. Oh my God, I remember that. How are you? Come on in, man. Come in here. Fuck, you're letting the air conditioning out. Come on in. Close the door. And you want a soda? Now I've got nothing but hospitality. It's the nicest thing that's happened all day long. You know, I've just been dealing with this other racist dude, and now this other cat comes out of the past, and he's like super nice. He's offering me sodas and stuff. Little did I know he was stealing somebody else's soda out of the lunch fridge. So, anyway, it's Steve, Cobra Steve, right? And he's sitting there, and The phone rings. Oh, I'll be with you in a minute. Give me a second. Let me talk to this guy on the phone. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, turn the knob. You just got to fix it like that. Oh, okay. Email me a picture and I'll tell you how to fix it. Wow, change of pace, man. From keeping secrets to helping people. He goes, go over there, talk to Tony, and he'll show you the machine. Just show him your stuff, and he'll show you the right machine for it. Go, just go have fun. Tony shows me the King Cobra. Big, gigantic machine. I'm like, oh, man, this is going to be the one right here. Stick my goods in there. Click, 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 click. Tony says, go ahead, sew. He says you can sew. Go ahead. Yeah, I've been sewing a long time, but never on this thing. Go ahead. You can't break it. Just go. Wow, right on. I need this thing. But it's running right at the limit. You know, I can't get that last little layer in there. It might have to even be a little heavy. Oh, well, you need a machine. We don't make that thing. It's called a 7 class. Well, where is one? Where can I get one? Well, there's a used one right there on the shelf. You think you want to part with it? Well, we got to build you a table and all this stuff. Okay. Well, let's talk about that thing. So go back to Steve's office and, you don't want that thing. You want the King. No, man. I could look. It might get thicker than this. All right. Goes and gets Tony and build him a table. Let's test that thing. Put it on the bench. Let's get that thing cleaned up. Let's get it ready for him. So at the end of the day, I walked out of there with 2 machines. I walked out of there with a Conso 733R. Is it a 733R? It's a 7 class version, but from a Conso, that used machine we were just talking about, and a Cobra Class 4. So, wow, I got 2 machines. How am I going to move them? Got to go rent a truck. I got my little family wagon, you know. Anyway, long story short, Steve being super helpful and clogged up with all these phone calls and stuff, he couldn't really help me much, but he had some guy help me, Tony, nicest guy. I speak Spanish, so Tony speaks Spanish, and Tony is the man. He knows sewing machines. I realized right away that there's no resources to help people learn how to maintain or operate this kind of equipment. So let's pay it forward. What do you think? Let me help you, Steve. Let me help you produce a video. You know, your video is cool, but, you know, I could do probably a little bit better. He goes, oh, yeah, you think so? Go ahead, because the production company that was helping me with that thing, they were terrible. They weren't cool. They were kind of hard to work with. Well, dude, I'll help you any way I can, man. You did me a solid. Let me help you. So a year later, and about $30,000, we have the Cobra Class 4 video that's in the pinned post, right? Be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. The toughest production thing I've ever done. The shooting it part, that's the easy part. It's getting it edited and produced to where it'll present. That's the hard part. Hi, Julie. So my friend Aylin Kelly has been working on the 5550BB thing for about 6 months now. She's like, I think I'm almost done. Oh, shit. You can't say shit. You got to edit that out. Oh, no. Repackage the thing, re-render it, re-upload it. But I look like I'm sewing my hand. Well, why is it there? Well, because the camera angle, honey. We got to fix that shit. I can't have that on there. People are going to think I'm an idiot. More than I already am. Anyway, so that whole thing pretty much spawned this channel, the tips and tricks with Cobra Class leather working equipment. It started as a different page, tips and tricks with whatever, I can't remember. And then it morphed into this thing. Okay, so here we are today. And now you're asking yourself, why are we here? What's Al ranting about? Because, you know, I am ranting. I'm pretty focused on some of the things I do, and things that interfere with those things, they get my attention, and it's not usually positive. So we have a situation in the tips and tricks where we invite a lot of people to participate, and we got a lot of people that think they know what they're doing. It's in the pin post. If you haven't read the pin post, please go over there sometime and read that thing and understand what we're here to do. Because it's really important that we all stay on the same page. Okay? Everybody's busy. Everybody has their agenda. I'm trying to run a business, but I give up my time to help run that tips and tricks group. Okay? Because I don't want people having to suffer the nonsense that the sewing industry did to me when I was coming up. Okay? And there's a lot of cool people. A lot of cool people in that group, and they need a little bit of help. 10, 15 minutes of my time out of the day, no big deal. Okay? But who needs drama? I don't need drama. Do you need drama? I don't know. Some people thrive on that stuff. I don't have time for it. Get myself all positioned back into my chair so I'm not twisting my back. Because, sewing on one leg's hard enough anyway. Anyway, so the drama that we're talking about is when we have experts in the field. And I'm talking about legitimate experts, people that know what they're doing, but they don't know how it works here. Okay? And it's written all in the pin post. If I haven't said it before, please go check the pin post. Did I say it before? Because I need you to read and understand the pin post so you understand what we're doing here and how. How and why. Okay? We truly want to help people, and I've recruited some really good people to help me do this group. Number one, Steve, Cobra Steve, the man himself. He helps me. Dave Spiegel, the guy's like the nicest guy on earth, and he helps me. He's not here all the time, but I call him and ask him questions. Bruce Brand, he's the number one guy. Without Bruce, I wouldn't be able to do this. He fields all the questions. He answers them. He does the research. He calls me. What do we want to do about this or that or the other thing? And then he ends up being the heavy too. Because he's got to tell people on my behalf. Because I tell him, tell that person this. So he's writing for me with his name. And then he gets the short end of the stick because he's the heavy. Okay? And remember a minute ago we were talking about people that were experts in the field? And they're here too. But the way they do it doesn't translate well to this environment. Okay? So Steve figured out how to talk people through it on the phone. So by text or email, you get a picture, and he listens to your story, and then he tells you how to fix it. Okay? So this is just a slight bit different than that. Now we have people that can post a picture, so we don't have to email back and forth, and then they can post their comment and then pretty much get an answer. But the answers need to be tried and true. They need to be answers that we know work. Okay? And I posted this a while back. I said, look, if you're going to guess, please don't. Unless you know that that's what I would say, Steve would say, Bruce would say, Dave would say. Now, these are the admins, right? The administrators of this page. And what people don't realize is that we have this back room. We call it the Tips and Tricks admin page. And we have backroom discussions on this stuff. That's why we all sound like we know exactly what we're talking about, because we discuss it, we come to a unified answer, and we publish that. I don't know everything about sewing machines. Trust me. I made all the mistakes. And I think I remember, but then I go talk to my guys, and then I publish something that I know is a correct answer, because I don't want the user, probably you, to have a bigger problem because of bad advice. Right? I want you to go in there and go, oh, there it is. That's the screw he's talking about. Turn that thing that one little bit. Boom, solved. Back to work. And then I can get back over there and do my work. And Bruce can do his. And Steve can do his, etc., etc. Okay? So, it's in the past couple days, we've had people giving legitimately bad advice. And we have to delete those things. Okay? Because I can't risk somebody getting hurt or break their machine or make it even worse than it was originally. Then people get offended by being edited like that, right? We are in America, and freedom of speech and freedom of the press and all those good things. Trust me, I'm on board with that stuff. But I can't allow it if it's going to jeopardize somebody else's well-being or their status, their mechanical status, if you will. So we have to enforce that. We have to be heavy about it sometimes. And we've talked about it a few times, right? This is how we do certain things. There's no negotiation. I try to post intelligent information so that you can embrace it. But if you're telling somebody to adjust the tension wrong by twisting the thread around the barber pole more and more and more and more, and you haven't really addressed the reality of why that machine is out of balance, then we're going to delete it. And we're going to delete it for the right reason, not just because we don't like you. I don't care who you are. I care that the information is portrayed correctly. Bruce is going to do that for me. He's going to call me and say, hey, I'm in the middle of doing something. I got my headset on. Hey, Al, we got this thing or that thing or the other thing. What do you want to do about it? Well, just delete it. Okay. And then we got somebody who's upset because they've been edited. Okay, so you've heard the saying, you can please most of the people most of the time, but you can't please them all the time. That's kind of what we're doing. We're trying to help people. And my assistants, mine or the group, the admins, end up getting bombarded with negativity for trying to help. So there's that issue. So I'm asking you kindly, please, try not to argue with the staff. If you're disparaging Bruce, you're talking to me. I have no ill will. I only want to help people. Bruce only wants to help people. Bruce is just doing this stuff to take some of the load off of me. So when he's talking, it's like I'm talking. If you're insulting him, you're insulting me. You're insulting Steve. What does Steve ever do? He's just a nice guy trying to help people sew. Granted, he's got a vested interest in selling sewing machines. I don't work there. I don't make a single penny from this stuff. Neither does Bruce. We just want to help people. And then, for all that effort, we get disparaged because I've been sewing for 30 years and this is how I do it. Right, but this brand new operator doesn't even know how to lift the presser foot. And you're telling him to adjust the material under the needle. Stick your finger under there and get that thread out of there. Please don't stick your finger underneath the needle. So there's all of that. And we have to consider the lowest common denominator, the new user. Right? If I got a new operator at the machine, I'm standing right over them and I give them very, very specific instructions on what to do, and they're going to develop one skill on top of the next one. And if they think they get to jump ahead, they get to step away from the machine and go sit down in the corner because they're not getting to do that. There's no free reign when it comes to this stuff because, you know what? A 26 needle is going to pierce right through your finger. And that's not something I'm willing to risk at your expense. So all the skills I teach are about, or that we teach, is not me. Right? It's all of us, the admin staff. We teach skills that can be built upon, that minimize the risk to the operator, minimize any more damage to the machine. If you're presenting a machine, we have to know, or a sewing problem, we have to determine whether the machine's actually damaged. If there's parts that need to be replaced. And then how that happened. So you tell me a story. I was doing this and this and this, and then all of a sudden it went like that, and now it's not sewing. Okay, clue. This is the problem. I got a theoretical checklist. Is it doing this or doing that? Go here. So, with that being said, we have one way to do it with a proven method. Okay? So we've said this before. If you don't know what the administration is going to say, then sit back and learn that one. I'm getting loops. Okay, what would Al say? What would Bruce say? How would he do? How would we solve that? And if you can quote almost verbatim, then please do. It'll save me a hassle. If I see that you quoted it and it looks good, I'll click like. If you're wrong, and if it's going to cause more problem to the user, I'm deleting that stuff. I'm not talking about it. I will not explain myself. It's just gone. And if you send me some flaming email, why the hell did you... You're booted out of the group because you just don't get it. It's not about your ego. Check yourself and understand why we're here. Wow, this is a side of Al we've never seen. You don't know. I'm a freaking hothead. I'm an aggressive person because I have to be. I pound leather into submission every day with the sharpest tools that you could ever see. Look, I freaking use an 8-pound maul. I don't tinker around with a little 1-pounder. I'm serious about this stuff. And more importantly, I'm serious about helping my friends and these people that need our help. Otherwise, they got to call somebody to the middle of Minnesota and the closest mechanic's 5 hours away. And he's going to charge to travel. And he might not even know the equipment. He might not know. And he gets there and he's charging for the travel time and the service call and the travel back. And then the machine is worse than if you just sat and got good information from us here. So what do? I have to protect the audience from your ego. I've been doing this all my life. There's a predominant leather shop, probably the biggest leather shop in the country, and one of the owners of that company gave me that crap. Guess what? He refers all of his customers to this group because he finally figured out that I don't have an ego here. I just want to help people. Steve just wants to help people. Bruce wants to help me help people. So, if you can't quote us verbatim on the solution, then just sit back. Please. Don't give silly answers to questions that aren't even involved. Have you checked the thread? That's the first thing we do. We rethread the machine and change the needle because it eliminates all the hassle. You had a loop in the thread, you might not even notice. You changed the thread, it just self-corrected it when the machine's working fine. Well, there you go. 9 times out of 10, that's the answer. I'm getting a loop. Well, loops on top, loosen the top, loops on the bottom, tighten the top until ... we run out of adjustment. And then, and only then, do we work on the bottom. And then the message gets turned around. Loops on the top, tighten the bottom. Loops on the bottom, loosen the bottom. Until you get it back into control. Then, ... rebalance the tension. Get that top adjustment so it's working in the center. And get the bottom adjusted so it's working in the center. It's all back in balance and you'll be okay. If you're not quoting that, if you can't say that out loud to yourself, then you're not qualified to talk about tension. Let's just leave it like that. So please don't guess and don't tell us that I've been doing it like this for years because that doesn't translate well here. We have to consider the newbie who might hurt themselves if they flub because you're standing on one foot and you got a 25 needle coming down. And that little finger is going to get pierced. And then that finger's getting amputated. And I don't want to live with that on my conscience. I want to teach you something that's going to solve your problem, build a skill, and then make you prosperous. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but this is my own attempt at an industrial revolution. I want your company to grow and hire people and put paychecks on tables and feed some children and send some children to college with this crap. And if you interfere with that motive, you're busted. I'm telling you, we don't have time for it. I have a business to run. I have to sew. I make my living staring at a needle. It's a tough life for me. I don't know about you, but it's hard. So I have to focus everything there, and then I'm giving up my time and arguing with people that are total strangers because they know better than me. They've been doing it all this time. And the thing that they don't understand is I've got 5 people helping me keep the continuity straight. These people, I call Vince on the middle of the weekend. He knows I need him. He answers my call. He steps out of church to talk to me. Seriously, because he knows I have no malice and I only want to help. And that somebody needs us right now. So to that end, that's why we're strict about what we do. Now, why do we block certain people? There's a few different reasons, but mainly because somebody is just aggressive and out of control and not being cool and insulting people. We don't tolerate that. First off, race. You insult somebody's skin, you're done. You insult somebody for trying to help people, you're done. You're just gone. We just block you out. If you block one of the admins and try to silence me in my group, you're gone. Come on. Seriously. Okay? So to that end, don't be a jerk. Just be nice. The other kind of people that we block are going to be politically driven people that want to, number one, sell us stuff that we don't need. Because we're all manufacturers. You have a sewing machine. You're trying to build a manufacturing company. We don't need some import Indian product getting saturated and spamming the group. Okay? India or Chinese or whatever. We're trying to build ourselves up, not them. And then the other one are the PETA people. You know who they are. The anti-leather folks. Sorry, this is a textile. We're not going to change the way people eat. We're going to consume meat, and meat turns into leather, and then leather turns into really nice things. Like belts and wallets and jackets and pants. Nice little A-line skirts. Yay! But we're not changing the world. So they have a point. Don't be mistreating the animals. If you come over here and mistreat my cat, you're going to have a lot of problems. But at the same time, cows, they're meat. They're food. So don't come in here and try to get yourself a platform to be hassling people about your PETA problems. Anyway, so there's that. That's why we block certain people. We vet everybody. We look at your profile. If your profile doesn't have anything that's even remotely looking like a leather shop or like leather craft or anything, you're not getting in. And if we send you an email and say, hey, what are you doing? Why doesn't your profile look like you make leather? Then you're just not getting in. We just ignore you, block you, kick you out. Okay? So now, let's talk about calling the leather machine company. Okay? One of the reasons why we started this forum is because when I was visiting Steve on that fateful day, the first time I saw him, and we talked about that earlier, he couldn't really help me. He was stuck on the phone helping somebody with thread tension. Now, while that's customer service, he needs to get back to doing his work. He needs to get back to designing new parts for these machines. And if he's on the phone answering pretty fundamental questions, he's not able to do that. So if you automatically respond to somebody, hey, I'm getting loops on top and it's my needle broke and like I'm having a problem, call Leather Machine Company because those guys are cool and they'll help you. Well, you're not lying. but you're wasting resources because the answers are all right here. Just kick back or go back and use the search engine tool at the top and say, hey, lubes on top, broken needle. You'll probably find 1,000 posts like that. So the answers are all pretty much here. And then Bruce or I or Dave or Steve will see it, and one of us will respond. And we'll give you a simple answer like, watch this video, and when you're done with that, call me. Now I'm waiting for your call. I'm going to give you my phone number. And bing, 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 off goes my phone. Hey, how you doing? Oh, good, I'm good. Did you watch the video? Yeah, so your machine's a little bit different, but you can do it like this. Oh, cool, okay, cool. And the only thing we ask is that you summarize so that the other people in the group can learn. And then you don't owe me nothing, but do me a favor. Oh, yeah, what's that, Al? Please pay it forward. Nice meeting you. Wherever I'm at, your friend's standing right there. Right? I get joy and pleasure from being able to do this stuff. But it's aggravating when my friends are being insulted for doing their job, helping me run the group. So please don't disparage Bruce. Don't give him a hard time. When you call it the Al and Bruce show, you're right. But we don't want to make it like that. I don't want to have a totalitarian environment there. If you know what you're talking about and it's accurate and you can predict what Al or Bruce are going to say, please do so. Otherwise, don't. Because you're going to get somebody else in trouble. And that person's going to get hurt mechanically or financially, or their body is going to get injured. And I don't want any of those things. I just want a friendly, simple resolution to common sewing machine problems. So that you don't have to go through that whole thing the way I did when I was a kid coming up. I learned the hard way. It cost me a lot of money, a lot of headache, until I found some cool people that could teach me. And after running into Steve again, I've learned so much from him. So much. I owe a debt of gratitude that I can never repay. So this is my way of paying that stuff back. I feed my family with this stuff. I feed my friends. It's just an empowering situation, and everybody wins around here from all of this crap. So help me help people help you. So don't call the Leather Machine Company unless you're trying to buy something, because we'll help you right here. You don't need technical support from them. And if we go, oh, you know what? Sorry, we can't help you. You're going to have to call Steve. Then at that point, do so. Those people are nice. They're never going to tell you we're busy. They're going to answer your call. They're going to treat you like family, because that's what they are. Heather's awesome. Steve's awesome. Dave, Vince, those people over there are straight up good people. So let's not squander their time. Let's let them do their good work. Otherwise, new parts and new technology doesn't get developed, because these guys are on the cutting edge, man. If you see some of the stuff that's going on with the Class 26, well, watch out. Because Conso ain't got nothing coming when it comes up to the 26, man. I'm telling you right now. And that 7 class sewing machine, took them a few years to develop the thing, but it's on the market now. You can buy a sewing machine from the Leather Machine Company. They'll sew 1.5 inches of solid leather. It's unbelievable. You don't need to do that very often. I don't need to very often unless I'm sewing gigantic tarps for SpaceX. But it's there. If you need it, it's there. That's what's awesome about it. You'll never find one anywhere else, but there it is. Okay, so now, we're all familiar with the like button, right? A little thumbs up. What's it mean when I click like? Okay, the first thing you got to understand is it doesn't matter that I like it. It only means that I've seen it. I may or may not be agreeing with you. Like on it, and then half an hour later, it got deleted. You can bet that I saw it, or it was brought to my attention. Bruce called me, or somebody called me. We discussed it in the back room, and we agreed that it's wrong, and we deleted it. I'm not agreeing with anybody here. The only person I'm going to agree with is Steve. You see? We're going to keep continuity because we're going to refer back to Steve or Vince or one of the admins from the group is going to say, this is how it does, remember? Oh, yeah, that's what I get it, okay. And then, boom, the hammer comes down. And if you've been reading this group, I go hats off to this guy or that guy, or good job with that, or I agree with Joe, you know. But it's got to be accurate, and it's got to fall into those three little categories. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to hurt their machine, and it's, you know, the system that we use to solve it. Okay, don't invent new processes, because if it looks too difficult, it probably is. And if it's going to risk hurting somebody, it's out. Really simple. So anyway, rant time. 46 minutes of Al ranting on the phone. I've got to sew guitar straps. I'm going to Dallas. Mid-April, I'm going to be at the Dallas Guitar Show. So if you're anywhere near that area, come by and say hi. You know, hang out with me. Shake my hand. I know that there's a lot of these folks in this group that are from the Dallas area. I don't know how far away Makers is. Isn't I can't remember what city they're in, but if I get a minute, I'm going to go over there and shake Aaron Heiser's hand. You know, this is a small community. We try to treat each other well. There's politics and egos and all that stuff, but there's no room for that here. We only ask for one thing. You know what I'm about to say? All right. Say it with me. Please pay it forward. Thank you for watching. I hope all is well. Bye-bye.